be handled by another committee.
Yeah,
Because that's being fair.
No, I'll give the information.
Why would we cutting economical with the truth?
My apologies, Chair. If you look at the hangover of different people who, and you know they're taking out a living. Chair, the last 2 years they have not been running parties in the city as used to be. You remember, you hear stories of workers being stabbed with pliers, fighting with the city. You've not had it in 2 years. You've not had a strike of matatus in 2 years because of our continuous engagement. And so at times, even if it might, sometimes, have a week of calm and they come back, there's a way we engage them pragmatically and then move in a humane way. If we took the option of now putting armed police there and start beating up people, it will not work. So, yes, there could be days when traders show up, we engage them. You'll find 2 days where it is clear. Eventually, it has to settle. More markets. Right now, the discussion with them is about Morino. Yeah. And they've come to us as recently as last week through my CC. That's why I'm saying a committee will go deeper into it because we're discussing about it. Through my CC of just allow me to finish.
Yeah.
To the CC of markets, asking that yes, if you can give us space outside the market, the parking area at Morino, then we'll be happy to move from there. We want and then okay, we agree, maybe for some of you Kamundo is too far, come to Morino. It's a continuous engagement. It's not black and white status. Theoretically it is, but practically when you actually enter it doesn't work.
We some people very well. It's like a visit to the doctors, and you need to be very clear about your symptoms so that we know what you're suffering from and prescribe the proper medicine. But now if you start to confuse us on the actual state of affairs in some of these areas, we don't know how to help. Are you sure that none of the people who was relocated from Wakulima is back there? You are saying those are new people.
I can say that very confidently. I can say that confidently. Because you see even the vehicles have registration numbers.
It's not the vehicles. The overriding, and I even supported you on that. We don't want what happened in Lieying to happen at Wakulima. They are on the road even if we left this moment when they would even happen. But you cannot say that they are new people. I know some of those traders.
Then convince them to go.
On the day I sit there, Governor, I will have the persuasive powers to move them. But you cannot ascribe work that has been assigned to you constitutionally to your senator.
Let me bring this to this session to a close so that it is our view that just by looking at financial statements is not sufficient oversight over Nairobi.
Yes.
And frustration in this committee, where I feel that Nairobi doesn't appear as often as other governors. I've seen some governors here more than enough times. And the reason why all these issues build up is because I don't feel like we have enough sessions with Nairobi. So even from your chair, I think you need to give us more time with the Nairobi County Government. And lastly, just because he has brought up markets, there was an issue, Governor, we raised with you about our West Market, where your people allowed stores to be built outside the gate of the market. And you had given us an assurance that those stores will be removed. Have those stores been removed?
No. And they will be removed, Senator. What we found when we looked into it, there have been extensive public participation with the people of the market, and there's new construction going on. What they've agreed to do is to do differentiation of what is sold at the stores, so that you don't have the same product in the market being sold outside the store. And I'll be very happy to furnish you with the public participation report there. I understand, I know you went there, I know the issues between, I know the chair of that market and the MCA and whatnot, but they've actually done the participation, because I looked into it. I really, just like every other ward, it's a ward very close to my heart, and I've looked into it. Pragmatically, we don't have enough training spaces for all of it. Even the new construction, which is going on right now, if you go to see, that will not be enough. So long as there is differentiation, because you don't people selling outside the market. What is inside the market? Only go inside the market. And so you kill your own market where you're putting money. So work with me to make sure that we do that differentiation properly.
Yeah, I'll be happy to see the report. If you are telling me that the traders inside agreed to that, I will be happy to see that.
Well, we will share.
Yeah, I think Nairobi is a complex organization. You are thinking about workers, you are thinking about markets, you are thinking about green bonds, you are thinking about BRT, no matter water. So you went for the job, you left us here in Parliament, we will put you under pressure to perform.
I work best like that. And Chair, I think the Senate of Nairobi is correct, and yourself. A lot of the things, we've asked which of these projects will you do, which was the new.
And Governor, you can take this together. There's something Senator Cherargei said about your friendships. At least I know that one of your friends, my party leader, has taken a position on division of revenue.
Yes.
All those things you are saying, when you discuss with your party leader, what does he say about your views? Because at least mine is clear on how much money should come to the counties. I just want to know, what does he say about some of the things you're saying? And number two, we have had a conversation in this city about the money that is owed by national government institutions through unpaid rates to the Nairobi City County. Again, I want to understand, when you have those conversations with your party leader, who's the head of state, what is his position on these things? Or should we wait until your other friend becomes the head of state so that these things can be done?
I thought we were keen on institutionalizing the conversations rather than basing it on the friendship.
It's about to be head of the African states.
On a more substantive issue, Governor has alluded to that in the history of devolution, I don't know whether within Nairobi City County or across the country, he has collected at 12.8 billion.
Yes.
In comparison to what? Because, when he says what is the target and the revenue potential, I don't know whether Dahir, you can tell us what is the revenue potential, or Salat, who is here, the revenue potential of Nairobi City County, because what Governor is collecting of 12.8 billion is that the auditor does not have the view of the system in itself. And maybe Governor can be gracious as he is today and smiley today, is that he should tell us how much under Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and he cannot run away from this because he was the area senator, and then how much were they collecting comparison to 12.8 billion that we are talking about? Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and I think, Governor, it's also fair when you congratulate yourself on 12.8,
Yes.
then it needs to be against the potential of Nairobi city. That then gives a better picture. But I just wanted to make brief responses, because really this was not a substantive conversation, but it's also important that when a governor comes to the Senate, we can find areas, and you can tell us how you want us to help you. Because ultimately, the 1.2 million you're collecting per hour sounds like a lot of money to some people. But for those of us who have looked at it holistically, it might not be sufficient to transform Nairobi. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Very good questions. Thank you, Senator Sifuna, Senator Cherargei, my immediate former good friend, but I really wish you can come back, and Senator Chairman.
Your immediate former friend.
Chair, the first question, the first point you've raised, is institutionalization of the relationship. Nairobi City County as a council used to actually lend money to even the national entities, in the 60s and 70s. In fact, if you look at the history of the biggest infrastructural development of water systems, from 1904, Kikuyu Springs, 1928, Ruiru Dam, 1956, Sasumwa, and then to 94 to 97, Dakaine, which is 84% of our water, they were fully done by Nairobi City Council, and that potential is there when there had been order. A lot of that got lost over time, which is what we're trying to restore. Section 6 of that Urban Areas and Cities Act then provides for you what we call an intergovernmental agreement of financing the capital, which is very different from the mistake of 187 of transfer of functions, which we would never do, we as Nairobi County, because even those that were transferred were not performed efficiently. With the Auditor General, the role of those remain at the executive office of the President to solve, because it was a national intervention. You know, the Nairobians would possibly not have prioritized some of those things that they did and failed to pay, you know. And so we want to work on that agreement, and we're currently doing, in terms of certain things. And I'll give you an example. Street lighting is a function of the county government. Security is a national function. If the county government cannot have the lights lit, security is affected. Why is Nairobi power bill, the bills that we have, has a component of rural electrification? Yet we are performing a function that is really concurrent. And so there had been a special tariff set for lighting of the urban areas. I remember that had been negotiated. That will form part of this agreement.
Yeah, I hope I'm not interfering with the...
No problem, Senator.
Yeah, I just wanted to know whether you have actually structured the infrastructures that you really feel that you should co-fund with the national government, because that is really very important. Thank you.
Yeah, which I think it's a valid question, because that 4 billion, what's the basis of the 4 billion?
Yeah.
And how do you cost it and say that this is what you need from the national government? And that's why it's important to institutionalize it.
Just very quickly on that one, we've actually tabulated, including specific interventions. If you look at upper CBD, 757 million, lower CBD, 1.3 billion, Ngara in that area, 89. And so I have the entire list, you know.
Is it on roads? It's on what?
So that is, you have roads, you have certain bridges, you have the aspect of lighting, some of the areas.
BRT? Or BRT is Namata?
Is a different discussion.
Which is
even at
under what, Namata?
Yeah. And at Namata, I'm the vice chair of the council.
Just for our benefit, like that one on Thika Road, what is the scope of works? Because all we have seen built are things that look like bus stops. And I don't even remember the last time I saw any work, any activity going on there. Because a BRT cannot be money to paint a red line on one of our lanes.
What we used to call
What is the scope of works for that line on Thika Road?
And and I would actually invite that we bring them to do a presentation. When I got in office, I asked the same. I said, BRT is not what the red lipstick in the middle of the road. And I was like, why would you put it in the middle? And these engineers took me through it. I went there at that time with the CS Kipchumba Murkomen. A lot of work has been done on the depot at Kasarani. So at Kasarani, there's a station. And that station is where all of the matatus coming from, the Thika Road side, from Kasarani, Ngomongo area, all of that, then drop people who then get into the buses. A lot of the mechanics for the diesel engines were done. There's now work towards trying to do more electric. Those lines will be completely unavailable for private vehicles. And then what you see on the roads become the station. Now that was stalled because of the lack of financing, because that's a national government line. And this is really what we're pushing. So as you've said, institutionalizing and making sure that then Namata does its work. Because some of these things you cannot do even close to an election. If I'm to veer off into a little bit of politics, you cannot do that. This is the time to do it. So I would ask, because this discussion is a very important discussion for the city. Nairobi is blessed with geography. You're in Dubai in 5 hours, you're in London in 8 hours, and then you're stuck here for 4 hours when you land. It does not make sense. We cannot leverage the geographical location we have. And so I would urge this committee to invite ourselves and Namata on the issue, or maybe the Roads and Transport Committee, on how we unlock those projects. But I'm happy that our interaction has been able to get us funding, even as a city. But that is why, again, you should help cities to be able to get funding directly. I've been able to secure $100 million for the next water connections for the city. But it is stuck in treasury. That is Northern Collector 2 and Maragua 4, toward 220 million liters. It's been stuck there for more than a year because it's not their priority. But if counties had the leeway to be able to conclude such financing agreements based on their work, their balance sheets, we'd have seen a lot of progress. I'm glad we are now getting the 140 million extra, which is concluded from Northern Collector 1. Remember, Nairobi receives 525 million liters daily. We need 900. So we've just bridged the deficit a bit by 140 million. Areas like Karen, like Reruta, Ngando, which had never been getting water. I know we'll commission soon the pipes at Embakasi Garrison going down into Mihango and Utawala. Will change lives of many Nairobians. Those who get water twice will get thrice. But Chair, coming back to
make it very brief. Senator Cherargei says we are now sounding like we are doing a state of the county address.
no.
So
just answering questions.
I'll give you about 3 minutes to wind up so that we come back to the agenda.
Chair, the senator for Nairobi, my friend Senator Sifuna, has asked a critical question on the philosophy of devolution of certain individuals in our country. I want to say that never before has a capital gotten support in terms of sitting down together, thinking through the problems. I know that the support Governor Kidero didn't get, Governor Sonko didn't get, possibly didn't ask for, but he didn't get that. But the president has created an atmosphere where we can sit down and say, look, we need to sort out the city. If you look at the investment going into the river regeneration project, which is under a commission that we jointly set up. We have representatives of Nairobi there. And recently Bishop Wanjiru went there.
Which someone was doing a comparative analysis talking about similar projects, but I think it was in London, at the Thames.
Yeah.
It was headed by an engineer. Yours is headed by an evangelist.
Let me not say too much about the individual.
But baptism happens around rivers, so you...
Oh my goodness. But if you look at that plan, and it will really excite you as a Nairobian, because you have an inverted city. The rivers were hidden. If you look at the 1926 master plan of the city and 48, the settlers wanted the higher areas. And so they created what they called a buffer zone, which became the slums. That's when there's floods. It's affecting Kibra, Mukuru, Madare, Huruma, all of those. Now that is going to change. But close to 70 billion shillings has been secured by the national government to support that work, plus what Nairobi Water is going to do. So, yes, the president is in full support to the capital. I think he said it as recently as Sunday. And this framework that we're working on with the Minister for Roads, that they would then inject, in the beginning 4 billion, the total cost is 11 billion, I think is an example of that kind of support. I can only speak about that kind of support to Nairobi because I can see it, and I feel it. The number of, I think we're the only county that has had a joint cabinet meeting of my cabinet and the national government sitting across the table, the president chairing that side, the governor of Nairobi on this side, saying what do we need to do for the capital. Because you must realize, in as much as it says the capital city shall be governed like any other county, that because it's the seat of the national government, and also a diplomatic, this is the only UN headquarters in the global south, then special arrangements need to be done. So I hope I've answered Senator Sifuna in terms of the personal philosophy of the head of state when it comes to devolution in Nairobi County.
Senator Nyuka?
Governor, you sure you'll do those things?
Lazima work. We have to.
Okay, I'll check on you next year.
We have to do it because I'll come back to the people